Hey everyone. It's been a while since I've given you any sort of official update on Frosted Winter Remastered, so I figured I'd give you a rundown of its current state, what we've been up to, and plans for the future. Work has been coming along really well, minus a short hiatus for GTA Marathon early this year, and the project is now fully playable start to finish without any major issues. This means that I'm comfortable showing you some gameplay in the background so you can get a true feel of how the mod plays while we discuss things. The first thing I wish to discuss is what other projects we've added in to make the experience overall better. A lot of people in the comments of the trailer said, "Eben, you're just adding a few mods and calling it a remaster." So I'd like to show these additions quickly, and then we can move on to showcase all the hard work myself and others have been putting in over the last year or so. This will be a quick rundown, as most of you probably already know what these mods do, but they're worth discussing even if it's brief. The first addition is Clio for GTA 3. The original Frosted Winter did have Clio and a few buggy scripts, but this version is a specific build with support for other things we'll be discussing later on. Clio has been great in allowing us to expand the mod in numerous ways, without needing to worry about hitting some arbitrary limit in the vanilla game. Next up is Combined Fixes, which is what we need this specific version of Clio for. This build has a bunch of really cool options, such as porting the triangular blip system from Vice City back into GTA 3, so that you can see if a blip is above or below you. It also has some more minor improvements, such as reducing the noise of the train when it comes below you, and allowing you to switch radio stations both ways instead of just one. Moving on to Silent Patch. There isn't much to add here. Massively increasing stability, makes the game actually functional on modern hardware, and much more. Silent is a legend, and we all owe him massively for his work. Combine this with widescreen fix by 13, and you have a genuinely pleasant experience playing this mod at 1080p on a modern screen. It makes such a big difference. The final project we've added is Classic Axis. This changes a bunch in terms of movement, as now you can move the camera around while inside of a vehicle, and it completely changes on-foot movement and shooting by making it similar to San Andreas' system. If you'd like to go back to the GTA 3 movement system, it's as simple as removing this file, which is great for those who want the option to switch back and forth. The original Frosted Winter was a mess in terms of stability, for lack of a better term. All credit to Beginit for creating this huge project so many years ago without proper tools and documentation. But now we have them, we can make the project far more efficient and therefore more stable. The first thing we did was remove any unused or unnecessary files and code, to trim the fat, so to speak, and only keep what was used in the actual project. From there we branched off, reworking inefficient code and massively decreasing the size of most missions while still keeping them identical to the base game. A good example is this mission in Act 2, where there is a proximity meter to a vehicle. This mission has 100 individual if statements nested on top of each other in order to check progress for the meter. A good workaround for over a decade ago, don't get me wrong. But nowadays we have the means to just create a function that we can call at any time to handle this. This means that not only is this mission more efficient, but all the others that have this code as well as the ability to add this to missions easily in the future if we wish to do so. Another big project was titled Project No Name. Frosted Winter has over 100 scripts called No Name and a number, which are all called numerous times throughout the code. These having no descriptions basically makes the code impossible to follow as soon as they're jumped to. Several of my evenings were spent going through each one individually and reading them in order to understand what they do and labeling them. It was from this that we discovered that almost all of these scripts were completely unnecessary, as most of them were individual mission starter scripts for each chain of missions. Some of them were also being called all the way at the start of the game, all the way until the end, even when they weren't needed. These scripts were then reworked into a dedicated mission starter script, which only gets called when necessary. These are the types of changes that don't look like they've done much, but they allow us to go from a dozen plus crashes per playthrough to almost zero. Speaking of crashes, we also spent many nights going through each individual mission and sanity checking each one. This may sound like a massive waste of time, but we were able to discover dozens of crashes this way. A good example is a lot of missions don't properly check for weapon models to be loaded. If you give an actor an AK-47 but the model is never loaded, the game will crash. Sometimes you can get lucky by having it loaded elsewhere. It is good practice to load in the model yourself before giving it to anyone, and then once it's no longer used, releasing the model again. This was a sluggish process, but it allowed us to remove hundreds of bugs as we went along, and allowed us to understand the code in order to fix things more efficiently later. I've been asked a lot about whether I'm going to modify the missions themselves, and the answer is mostly no. This is a remaster, not a remake after all, so as much as I'd love to rewrite a ton of missions, ultimately I'd prefer to keep the original spirit of Frosted Winter intact. That being said, some missions have been reworked for good reason, whether it be the mission itself not making any sense, being horribly unbalanced, or straight up not working properly. Expect a lot of nerfs and balancing. An example is the infamous mission Booby Trap, where you must take a car rigged with a bomb and drive it from the docks to an arbitrary checkpoint in Harwood. Having a checkpoint here makes no sense as to how the bomb is magically able to be deactivated. So instead the mission has been modified to Joey needing to drive around and keep his speed up for a minute until he can defuse the bomb himself, similar to Publicity Tour in Vice City. It's not a perfect change, I'll admit, but it's a good middle ground of actually making sense, fixing the bugs that came with the original, while still keeping the mission itself intact. While I've been burying my head in the sand in code, the other members of the team have been hard at work on the playable area itself. Some areas have been completely remodeled, such as the Ghost Town, with its own new set of secrets and Easter eggs to discover. Some areas have been modified for quality of life purposes, for example the Portland sewers. In the original mod, Portland is filled with holes in the ground where you can enter the sewers, but they're so frequent it just becomes annoying getting stuck on them all the time. We have covered most of the entrances now so that there is only one per district, removing that annoyance while still also allowing easy access to the underground. You might also notice in the gameplay in the background that I've been driving a lot faster than in the original project, and that's because I've removed the snow physics entirely. Personally, I hate them, as it just makes driving slower and less fun, as well as making some things like the cops 100 times more annoying. I completely understand that some of you might want them to stay, so this will also be an optional thing, and you'll be able to re-enable them at any time. The heads-up display has been completely remade, with models fully upscaled or redrawn, such as the weapons and the minimap icons. We are also using a custom radar with a light blue theme to match the Frosted vibes, and we've included a full map inside the pause menu so that you can navigate Liberty City much more easily than before. Our artist has also completely remade the splash screens and menus to not only properly fit 16:9 displays, but also bring them into the modern era with a new coat of paint. I think these look awesome, and I'm glad that at least someone is decent at creating this kind of thing, because I'm fucking useless. I have a lot of plans for the audio, but they will take a while to be implemented. So far, we have removed some of the modified sounds, such as vehicles exploding, as they were horribly unbalanced and way too loud. The next thing I want to add is a voiceover, and Mafia Game Videos has been kind enough to let us use his AI voiceover he created for his walkthrough. This will save us a lot of time as it's already very well made and ready to be implemented, but I will also be making this optional as I know AI is not something everyone wants to have in their games. In the future, I'd love to do a community dub and have a bunch of us record the script ourselves, but that's a big project and I'd like to focus on fixing bugs for now. So that's what we've been up to for the last few months, and as I said at the start, I'm really happy with how things are coming along. So what's next? Well, very soon we're going to be entering the beta stage. Full playthroughs can now be completed with minimal issues, so I'd like to not only test the build myself on stream, on Twitch and here on YouTube, but also send it to other creators to get feedback and see if they encounter any problems we haven't seen yet. There are still lots of small issues to fix, so for the time being we will be working on polish while we get the testing feedback in. The timeline from there completely depends on how many things break during the beta process, but I'm hoping it will be minimal. I'd love to be able to release this project by the end of the year, but I won't be setting any official release date until I'm fully happy with the project. When that happens, I'll make another video announcing it. I appreciate you sticking around to the end and for your support on this project. I hope that soon this will all be something that you can play and enjoy. See you next time.